Hello. I hope that you can hear me. My other headphones don't work anymore. I'm not really sure why, but I'm just kind of jumping on to give you guys an update. I've been gone for about a month, and there's a few different reasons for that. At first, it wasn't really by choice. I was having difficulties with, sorry, my internet company. I'm a single mom, but long story short, I had a payment arrangement with them and they decided not to withhold their end. So right before Christmas, my internet got cut off. And that was all right. I paid it off, got it back. Um, I've had it back for about 2 weeks or so now after fighting with them and just a lot of drama and crap I shouldn't have had to have through with in the first place. Went through in the first place, sorry. Um, But then I started having just there was a lot going on this month. I went for my first transfer with IVF for my surrogacy journey, and that kind of took up a lot of my time. And I didn't really update anybody because I didn't want to. I didn't want to put stuff out there if I didn't know something was going to happen. Um, And unfortunately, this last cycle didn't take. We were really hoping for a Christmas miracle for the couple, and it didn't take. And that was really hard mentally. And then right around that time, I had my washer break and my fridge stopped, like the freezer on my fridge stopped working. So my mental health had kind of started to go down because things just weren't going as planned. I didn't have the funds to do stuff. I didn't just have the get up and go. I hit one of my pockets of my depression and kind of went down. And I figured instead of coming in front of everybody and pretending everything was okay, that I would just kind of pull back into myself, which I do unfortunately way too much. Um, and just kind of figure stuff out and go step by step. And where I don't really have a big fan base or very many people that follow or watch my videos, I was like, well, it shouldn't hopefully be a big deal to anybody. Um, but yeah, the last month has been really hard mentally. We lost a family member back in November due to somebody driving illegally, and that's been hard too. And then with everything else just piling up and piling up and all the negativity around, I just figured I needed a fresh start. I have started purging my house and just trying to make it that I don't fall behind, that even if I have a couple of days that I slump into my depression again, that it won't be so bad. Because I have 3 young kids that depend on me for everything, and I do have a support system who helps with them and who takes them. Generally, once every other weekend or so, I get a day without my 2 oldest, and it's just my daughter and I, which I love because then her and I get to spend some time alone. And then around this time, my daughter also was removed from daycare. Long story short, I was told it was gonna be paid, and I got a bill a couple months ago saying it was $700, and I was like, "Okay, what's going on? And why isn't this happening? Why am I getting these bills? Like, I don't have $700 to come up with." Well, fast forward to about December 28th, they told me that they still hadn't got payment, and now my bill was up to, like, almost $1,300. And I'm like, "What the heck?" this was supposed to be dealt with back in April. I hadn't gotten any bills. I figured it was being dealt with. Like, I was expecting things in between that weren't happening, and I guess it was just a lot of miscommunication. But I had my daughter a lot more than I was used to having her, just because, like, I take my days for my mental health, and I do my cooking, my cleaning, my catching up, my shopping, and I do pull her out the odd time. I do pull my kids out of school and daycare the odd time when I'm feeling like I can do it, like I can afford it, like it would be beneficial to them. And I'm not saying that my daughter being home with me for the 2 weeks is that she wasn't with me wasn't beneficial to her, right? Because it really was. It was amazing to have her home. But I was also in a mental state that it can be a lot. It can be a lot when you're a single parent, when you have a support system, but as I said earlier, I'm really bad at when I need help shutting down and going into myself, and it sends me in a spiral. Once my depression acts up, I wake up crying because my postpartum or not my postpartum depression, sorry, my PTSD is acting up, and all I can think about is the past, and do my children deserve me? Do you know, is there things I could have done differently to change my life from where I am now? But I don't want anybody to think that I don't love my life because I do. But if you've ever struggled with depression or anxiety or postpartum depression or post traumatic stress disorder or even just suicidal thoughts, it can be a lot. I want to be here. I want to be alive. I want to support my children and grow old. If I could grow to be 150 and watch my children grow and flourish the way I know they have the possibility to, I would definitely do that and I would love it. Um, but self doubt sometimes is a powerful thing. And when you have people who are supposed to be your friends, supposed to be your support system talking trash about you within earshot of you, it can be really hard. Um, I don't have many people I talk to. I don't trust many people. I don't open up to many people, which is partially my own fault, but it's also my past has just taught me not to. It's taught me to depend on myself and not ask for help. And I struggle with asking for help when I know I need it. And I also struggle with the fact that other people have lives too. My main support person works 5 to 6 days a week. And she works like 7 or 8 till like 4:30 or 5. So I don't want to be a burden on her. I don't want to be a burden on people. Like, I brought my children into this life. I chose to give them life because that's who I am. Um, but with just so much going wrong at the time, it was hard to see what was going right. And I know I have 3 amazing children who love me, who I would fight for until, like, I will fight for them beyond my grave, beyond everything. I want to be there. I want them to be able to come to me and talk to me about anything because I'm that support. because that's somebody I've not 100% had in my life. I haven't had one person solidly that I can open up to, that I can cry to, or if I've had that person, I was in a relationship and that person I had was the opposite gender, and my partner did not like that I had somebody else who had literally saved my life be there for me. So I've lost a lot of people because of relationships and because of my mental health and because of who I am. And I'm all right with that. It sucks, but I truly believe that if something is meant to be, or if somebody is meant to be in your life, that they will come back. It has happened time and time in my life. Um, but yes, so yeah, I am gonna backtrack a little bit and talk about the surrogacy journey. So on December 24th, we went for transfer. Everything looked great. The doctor thought, oh yeah, sure, everything will take great. My my progesterone, my estrogen were right where they needed to be. My thyroid was where it needed to be. My iron was perfect. Everything just looked so, so good and so promising. And like 4 days after transfer, I started testing because I'm addicted to testing, and just nothing was coming up. Or like I was seeing lines, but I now I know I just had really bad line eye. And it was so hard because when I went through last journey, we put 2 embryos in, and I was getting very, very, very faint positives at 4 days past transfer. And then by 6 days, like, I had a positive digital test that was like, "Yes, you're pregnant." And my surrogacy support system was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Sometimes we don't get positives till, like, 9 days past transfer." So, I really tried to keep the hopes up and just tried to keep moving on, but every day getting 1, 2, 3 negative tests, just it wears on you. I've never had a negative test necessarily, not when I was actively like my oldest was planned when I was 20. My his father was 17, and we tried once that month. I was getting the IUD in. I didn't think anything would happen. Look at me. He's now 7. And, I took the test and it came up right away, blazing positive. With my other 2, I was on birth control. I was trying to prevent. Um, but the only thing we can figure that went wrong is that I was on antibiotics around the time, and some antibiotics can cancel out birth control, and that it must have happened around that time. I did try to tell my doctor around a month before my daughter was conceived that my birth control wasn't working right. I was only getting a cycle every other month, and my body felt off. I should have pushed a little bit harder, or switched the pill, or got on something a little better, or used the backup contraceptive. But again, my ex is a truck driver, so he wasn't home very often. So I was like, oh, the chance of anything happening or us conceiving accidentally is probably like 3%. But again, I took a test and I literally set it down, went to wipe, looked, and there was already a very distinct line. Um, and with my middle child, I was joking that I was pregnant just out of nowhere. I was like, oh, I could be. Like, you have sex, you can get pregnant. It's that simple. Um, I have a friend who had sex before she ever had her first period and got pregnant. So shit happens. But with the guys, like we were trying to get pregnant. That was the goal. They wanted their baby, and it took the first time. It made me so happy and so excited to be able to be like, I'm pregnant. Like, you guys are going to be daddies again. So this time getting a negative I was so shocked. I haven't not gotten pregnant before that, like with actively trying and with doing everything I could, with taking my meds and taking the vitamins and eating better and trying not to stress a lot. And just, you know, a lot of me blames myself because I had to get up and like use the bathroom right away. And it's like, there's a lot of reasons that the embryo couldn't have stuck. And we'll never know. We are moving forward. I'm going, I had, sorry, today is the 19th. Last Tuesday on the 14th, I had a uterine biopsy done, which I don't really know how to describe it, but from what I understand, is they took like an instrument and they scratched the lining of my uterus to like make it rougher so that when the lining builds up, there's kind of a bit of a like, like a ripple and bumps and more stuff for an embryo to hopefully attach to. Um, so this week I go for my lining check and hopefully we are at a good enough numbers that I can go for transfer. Um, I'm not going to give out dates yet because things with IVF are very up in the air, all planned last minute. It's really difficult to just know where I'm at until I'm there. Um, Unless you've been through IVF or infertility or IUI or anything like that, you probably won't understand exactly what's going on. But both of my journeys have really opened my eyes to the amount of meds that people have to be on to conceive a baby sometimes, to sometimes it doesn't work. I don't have infertility problems, and IVF still failed for me. Like, and I'm 27. I'm within the 25 to 30 age gap that supposedly IVF is more successful with. It's kind of, I mean, I can't beat myself up over it. We are trying again, we are pushing forward. But these are just kind of like the thoughts that went through my head when I found out that it hadn't stuck. Well, luckily, but unluckily, like my clinic did tell my couple before I really had a chance to let it soak in myself and realize what was going on. Because, like, I knew, but I was in denial. I have had a pregnancy test tell me I wasn't pregnant. I was a lot further along. Like, I should have had a positive by that point, but I didn't. And it was that. So, anyway, I'm gonna pop over to my other channel, do um, a little bit of some kind of game to get my mind off of the stress and upload over there too because I haven't been uploading on either of my channels. If you could just keep me in your thoughts and your prayers, and hope that this next embryo transfer works because we all want this so bad. I want them to get uh, to have a baby, to just there's no words for it. There really isn't. But if you're new here, you can drop any questions, or well, not if you're new here necessarily, but if you have any questions for me, please feel free to put them over there. I do plan on hopefully putting a video up when I'm in Moncton for my aligning check, talking a little bit more on the meds and kind of get a little bit deeper into like how much goes into IVF. So, anyway, I hope everybody out there is doing well. And if you're not, feel free to message me. I will answer comments. I don't know if there's a way to message on YouTube per se, but just reach out if you can. And I might struggle with mental health issues, but I've always found that other people who struggle with similar issues understand so much better than people who are on the outside who haven't seen it. It's much like IVF. If you haven't been there and you haven't seen it, you don't know what you're going through or don't know what other people are going through until you're there. Anyway, keep your ugh, let your light shine bright and let's move forward. Happy 2020 everybody. Um, hopefully this new year brings people love and joy and babies and answers that you've been looking for and just overall happiness. If there's one thing that everybody deserves, it's to be happy. Thanks. Bye everybody. Oh, well that's bye.